When I was first looking at schools, being a part of a college music experience was a big thing for me. I was really excited about it. And when I was first looking at schools, UVA didn't have a marching band. And so I was actually looking very closely at George Mason University. I really wanted to stay in state, and they have a really great pep band that plays at all of their basketball games, and they actually get paid, or at least at that time they did, so that was something that was attractive to me. But I heard just a little bit before I started putting in my applications that UVA was going to start a marching band, and I ended up going on the tour at UVA, and I put in my application, early admission, and I joined the band. I was really looking for an organization that would help me make a lot of friends and that would also keep me very intertwined in the kind of the workings of the university, and I'm very into kind of being very school spirited, and I was really into being in band and going all to all the sporting events in high school. So I was really excited about being a big part of the athletics program at UVA too. I've always been a UVA fan since I was about 5, I think. So I was really excited about being a part of that at UVA, and the band was the perfect place for that. When I was in high school, I was actually in a band that was about the same size as the current trombone section in the Cavalier marching band. I was kind of a big fish in a small pond, you can say. And I was really excited about joining the band, but I was a little concerned about kind of being a little fish in a huge pond. So joining the band kind of gave me an opportunity to make a whole bunch of friends before classes even started. And I remember going into my first year dorm that very first night, and I met my roommate, and my roommate was great, and I met a couple of people in my hall, but none of them really had any friends, and I already had, I think it was, 125 friends or 130 friends. So that was really a great way to start off my college experience. I wasn't worried about really the kind of social experience because I had already started it, and I could kind of focus on my studies, and then I had those great friends, and every year I got more and more friends even before school even started each fall. My first experience with the Cavalier Marching Band was actually the Hoops Band. The winter before the first fall season, the Hoops Band started at some of the basketball games, and I got invited by Mr. Pease, or Dr. Pease, to join, or to go and see one of the bands perform at the basketball game. And so I went, I watched the game with my parents in the first half, and then I went down at halftime and I got to meet some of the trombone players, and I got introduced to a whole bunch of people. I specifically remember Kyle Singleton being there. He was a big part of that the early Hoops Band, and they sounded great for even just a couple of practices, and it made me even more excited about joining the Cavalier Marching Band. The animosity with the pep band, I think, was a little misplaced. I mean, certainly we were the face of their frustrations, so they kind of, it was easy for them to take their frustrations out on us when we didn't really have anything to do with them getting banned from the varsity sporting events in the first place. But I don't think it was all bad. I do remember one of the very first, I think it was the first game, we were marching through the streets around the stadium, and the pep band was in the middle of the street, and they kind of had to get out of our way so we could go forward. So that was kind of a big moment for me, just seeing that. And I was always a fan of the pep band, so I was kind of sad to see them go. And I hope, especially now, I hope that they've kind of moved on and realized that we're not the bad guys. We're just trying to put a good product out there and support the team just like they were. So I still hear them around sometimes. I remember seeing them at a rugby game, which was really fun, and I think that what they do is great, and I certainly don't have any bad feelings towards them. The hardest time for me in the band was probably probably the music. I was a decent musician, but I was kind of much better at marching. That was why I was always a drill instructor. Probably the hardest part for me was definitely memorizing music, and I would kind of get frustrated with myself when I was a leader in the section and I didn't necessarily have everything memorized. And it's a very rigorous schedule, and trying to keep up with everything, keep up with school and memorizing the music and making sure I'm putting forward a good example for the younger guys. But we had some great younger players in my 3rd year and 4th year, and they really picked it up quickly, and it always turned out well. Even when we had some hard times or when things didn't go right or we got off schedule or something like that, we always figured it out. We always had a great time on game day. I think probably the one thing that maybe not everybody knows about my CMB experience was that I kind of really struggled with the idea of being drum major. I thought about it a lot. I had been drum major in high school, but I really liked the experience of being part of my section. I did actually start the tryouts for it one year, and I went through the first round where we actually had to conduct and sing the national anthem, and I was not very good, and it kind of scared me a little bit, and then I kind of rethought things, and I was like, I think maybe I'm better off just staying in my section. And I had a conversation with Dr. Pease about it too, and I kind of decided that was the place, that was where I belonged, it was where I was happy. I didn't really want to quit playing. And so I stuck around in the section, and I never regretted it. Certainly some of my favorite memories would probably be tied to some big wins for the football team. I can think of two. Of course, the Florida State game in 2005. That was a huge win for the school, and I just remember the band being so into the game, and they were kind of getting the crowd really excited. And even afterwards, the students poured onto the field, and we stayed in the stands because there was no room for us on the field. And we had a great experience playing for the students. It was kind of, the students were down on the field and we were up in the stands, which is totally reverse as how it should be, but it was a lot of fun. We played the tomahawk chop right back at them. That was probably my second favorite actually, though. My top favorite was probably the Maryland game, my fourth year in the fall of 2007, when we went to College Park. It was a big game, and we kind of came from behind. Chris Long had the big sack in the end zone for the safety. And I specifically remember the band played Rhythm of the Night after the game was over, kind of as everybody was leaving, and it was just kind of a big celebration, and the team stayed and they were kind of dancing around and having a good time with us. Just being even away from Scott Stadium, and we kind of really invaded Bird Stadium in College Park. We actually got in trouble for playing too loud. They blamed us, or they said that we had amplification systems that they wanted us to turn off, and we actually didn't have anything amplifying our sound. Dave Knight was on the headset getting yelled at the whole game because we were too loud, and I remember especially me and Trevor just ended up playing louder and louder and louder because Dr. Pease just kept telling us that they wanted us to play softer, so we took that to heart and just kept playing as loud as we could. My favorite band camp memory was probably skit night. I think we always had a really good time on skit night. The trombone section wasn't always the best at coming up with something. It was kind of always the other sections that really wowed us. But I do remember one season, the trombone section put together a skit called The 7 Positions of the Trombone. And it got a little risque. But it was a lot of fun, everybody had a good time, and it was definitely kind of one of the best moments for our section kind of coming together and having a really good time. My favorite memory of a halftime show was probably the first game. It's kind of cliche, but it really was a huge moment for the school. It was a huge moment for us as a group. We played When the Saints Go Marching In, and there was a big part in the song that featured the trombones that we were all excited about. And we all just had a really good time, and I just remember my parents were really excited being in the stands and watching us and just being so proud of us. And I remember Dr. Pease was proud of us for putting on such a great show in a relatively short amount of time, and it was just a really great experience. My favorite drill was probably, I think it was my second year, we played music from Blues Brothers, and we actually played it again at the bowl game. And I just remember being really excited that we got to play it again because it had some of the most exciting drill that we had done all season. And I really liked the fast-paced drill and doing lots of different sets. And it was an exciting show, really fast-paced music. It was fun. Visuals, the Thriller dance was fun. And of course everything in the stands with moving our capes and waving our hats and everything with the drum line is always a good time. Favorite bowl game memory, hands down, easy question, was definitely the Music City Bowl in Nashville. We did a battle of the bands in the streets of Nashville. The Minnesota Golden Gopher Band, which is a very well-established old band came down one street and we came down the other street and met them head to head. And I remember doing tag for it was one of the first times we ever did tag kind of in a big show like that, and that put us over the top. Easy win for us. It was I think that's the one and only time we've ever performed in a battle of the bands and we won. We're undefeated. The CMB to me it meant a very fulfilled college experience. I think it really kind of gave me a good base of friendships and experiences that I would never trade for anything in the world. I think the Cavalier Marching Band gave me a lot of lessons in leadership and teamwork that I've been able to take into my job now. I think I'm a pretty good leader at work. Being in real estate development, everything's a very collaborative effort of kind of designing buildings and deciding what types of things will work in different areas, and kind of building communities and everything. And I really think the experiences I had in the band kind of helped me in my career as well. The band has grown tremendously since that first year. It's a completely different organization, but at the same time it's still kind of the same organization. It still has the same heart. We still perform the same way. We still practice the same way. It's definitely more organized than it was when we first started, and this band certainly has a lot more tools at its disposal to really have a good practice and put a good show on the field. I mean, we didn't have a specific field to practice on. We didn't have a specific building to practice inside of. When it rained, we were outside. We did a lot of practicing on the Smurf turf field where the field hockey team plays. Our storage unit was a racquetball court, I think, in U-Haul, and we didn't really have anything that we could call our own, and now they do. We've got our own field, we've got the storage building, we've got the Hunter Smith band building, which is amazing. So I'm really happy for the current students that they get to experience all of that. It makes their lives a little easier, but it kind of gives us a little swagger that we were the ones that started it, and we had it rough. Now they have it easy. But it's been a real pleasure to kind of watch it grow and evolve, and now they're so amazing. It's really awesome.